You'll die of old age. doing lovely today. How are you?
How are you?
Well, it is a little hot, right? And if we don't do anything, it'll get hotter, right?
Yes, indeed. We have to help first.
That's it. More. I love it. All right. Just right quick. Hello, Jasmine. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Just right quick. Of course, I know that a few of you were out here a few weeks ago. I met and addressed you a few weeks ago. You said that you were coming back with more persons, and this is a good thing. Of course, the issues of bringing attention to matters that affect climate are important to Bermuda. The minister who has responsibility for the environment is the Deputy Premier. As we've seen, we've been making recent moves insofar as making sure that we protect our oceans and other items. The minister has spoken very extensively when it comes to the transition of what happens, of what happens what happens in the future when it comes to Belco, and has issued directions regarding that. He is the Minister of the Environment. Unfortunately, I have to run as I'm scheduled to speak at the 60th anniversary of the theater boycott at City Hall right now, but I did want to meet and address you, and the deputy will certainly meet, address you, and be able to take any questions, as he is the best person to speak on what the Progressive Labor Party government is doing on the issue of climate change. So I want to encourage you to continue to make sure that you make your voice heard on the issue of our climate and the future of climate, because it is very, very important. So I want to encourage you and say thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Great. Very happy to see you here on your clearly as a mission that you have to promote greater attention in Bermuda around climate change. I wish to thank you for your efforts in this area. I can tell you that this is not an issue that has been away from the minds of the government. This government is committed to a number of things. We are committed to renewables as being the chief source of power for the country in the future. We're also committed to clean energy and making sure that the energy sources that Bermuda uses is renewables, and that means moving away from the fossil fuel-based power generation that we have now. We are interested in moving away from that, and I can assure you from this point on that this government supports any additional generation that's added to Bermuda's power mix will all be renewable. Will all be renewable sources, whether it be
Thank you so much.
whether it be solar, whether it be wind, or whether it be ocean. Any additional power generation added to the Bermuda mix will be renewable. That's one key point. Second, Bermuda being a clean and safe environment for us all to live in is also important, which is why if you had listened to a statement that I had made prior to the last holiday of May 24th, I asked for the country to begin to start thinking about alternatives to plastics, alternatives to plastic straws, spoons, forks, knives, and plates. Begin to source options that are paper, that are non-plastic when we have our picnics, when we have our events, when we have our parties at home, because we are going to move towards removing all single-use plastics from sale in Bermuda by 2022. Zero new plastics. Zero plastics. We'll work on sooner. That's the goal. We are looking to do it sooner if it can be achieved. But I'll be hoping that you will be helping me with that. If we can push the education of people, we can, when you go to the stores to buy the supplies with your parents, ask them to look for non-plastic options. Because if you start asking that of the stores, they will have to start selling them. So part of the work is not only done by me, but it can be done by you and your families and also others in the community. That is what we're pushing. That's why I begun the conversation before May 24th, because you're going to start seeing measures and phases to move to a phased out, just like Barbados has done, just like Jamaica is doing, just like a number of countries we recently heard in Africa have done, and a number of countries have made the steps to removing and outlawing single-use plastics. Bermuda is moving in that direction. The government is committed to that. Now, the other thing is this. Power is expensive in Bermuda.
Indeed.
We all pay the same price. And that price, and unfortunately for some people, means they have to make choices as to buying sometimes the necessities over keeping their lights on. We want that to go away. So part of what we're doing, you may have seen the initiative recently about LEDs and people moving from incandescents to LEDs and to establishing more conservation and efficiency measures in our homes, in our businesses around the island so that people's power bills can go down in cost. That's another thing that we can help. I would hope that every one of you would be talking to your parents about switching any incandescent lights to LEDs in your homes. That will lower the power bill, that lowers the pressure on the capacity of the utility. They have to use less oil to generate energy, thus they start to buy less oil, and then we're using less fossil fuels to burn energy in Bermuda. Greater efficiency and conservation means that we become a more cleaner environment. So I would also hope that you're doing that, educating your families about using LEDs, about conservation measures, such as turning off the lights when you leave the room. What can you do to perhaps improve the efficiency of your own homes with insulation and other measures, timers for your water heaters, and even timers for the lights, sort of lights when you come in and out of the house, of your rooms. The lights can turn off when no one's in the room and come on when somebody goes in. Those things. That is why we're committed to a renewable energy future in Bermuda within our lifetime. We are committed to that. Right? That's why there is a 6 megawatt utility solar project at the Finger at the airport. The airport will have solar panels on it. The government itself is installing renewables in the West End down at Wedco and in other facilities of government. There are renewables being installed, utility scale renewables.
Where's the legislation?
The legislation is already in place to do that. You don't need legislation. The regulatory authority and the government are working together to make sure that renewable projects are where we're going. If you look at the legislation now,
This isn't reflected in the Belco's energy plan. They're building another.
Belco has its own plan, but the government and the RA are putting together Bermuda's plan. Belco's plan is their
We
plan.
need a new renewable energy target.
There will be a renewable energy target after we have the integrated resource plan published after the end of the month. That will chart the course of a renewable future Bermuda, and then after that we can set some targets for where we're going. Those targets are coming. Those targets are coming. Those targets are coming once the IRP is published. That will be the plan for the future. Right now, if you read the legislation, somebody have a legislation, the legislation requires the utility and the regulatory authority to chart a course of a more renewable and clean future. That is already mandated in law. We don't have to change any laws to do that. We can set the targets once the integrated resource plan is published. The targets can be set.
How soon can we see that report?
I just said that report will become available later this summer, possibly in July. Early July, it may be available to the public. That is a matter for the RA to finally, but I know that the cabinet and the premier and I will be seeing more information about that in the upcoming weeks. I can assure you, sometime in the month of July, you'll be hearing a lot more about that IRP. Do not be concerned about what Belco's plan is. It is about the country's plan, and the government is working with the regulatory authority to have a plan for a renewable future for this country. We will not go back. I promise you that.
What about littering fines? They're not being enforced properly.
We can work on enforcement, but I think we all need to help groups like KBB and others who are doing the work and have been doing the work for years. You help them do their job and promote less littering and keeping Bermuda beautiful. That's been a campaign that's been around for years. you and I and everyone else in this country can help them do their job and work with us.
Enforcing littering fines, you need to do it now.
We should be less about trying to be punishing people, and we help people along by educating them and bringing them along. We need not to make the process of a cleaner Bermuda.
Climate state of emergency. The climate is breaking down. We have 12 years until climate change becomes irreversible, and then we will die of climate change and you will die of old age, and that is not fair to our younger generations.
I agree with you, and that's why we in Bermuda will do our part with your help. Are there any other questions? I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Sir, it's been well documented that animal agriculture is the leading cause of global climate change. And what is Bermuda doing to combat that? Animal agriculture, meat consumption, is there going to be a meat tax in the future maybe? Are you going to implement or encourage local businesses and schools to do meat-free Mondays like other countries have done? Because animal agriculture is by far the most detrimental to the environment.
What we will be doing in Bermuda is that we are putting together an agricultural policy which will promote greater local agriculture production, not only for community gardens, but also to working with our farmers to raise the level of production of agriculture locally. We need to have food security. It's fine to have all these plans about non-meat Mondays, but the reality is that Bermuda imports 80 to 90% of what we consume. We do not produce it locally. We need to raise our local production higher so that we can have more options locally. Then we can begin to set some guidelines on doing some things more with vegetables and fruits and improving. That's why the government has a healthy schools plan to promote less sugar consumption and greater, higher nutrition levels within schools. All this is in place now. We will be doing more work to promote local agriculture, community farming, square box gardens, and everything like that, so that we have greater food production locally, greater food security, and we can then exercise options with building a more nutritional and healthy Bermuda over the long term. But we have some steps we have to take as a country. We have moved towards greater consumerism. We import too much from abroad, particularly when it comes to food. We need to produce more and import less. That's when we can take advantage of some of these options that other countries are doing. These other countries produce their own food. That's why they can exercise those limitations. When we are producing more, we can do more to build a healthier and much more safe and secure agriculture future for Bermuda, where we're all being more healthy. We all can exercise greater plant options. But if not, we have to bring in aboard on ships, and that's not healthy for our country either. What? Yes. 2 more questions.
What about single-use plastics?
Single-use plastics will be eliminated no later than 2022.
All of them?
All of them. That is the goal. The government is going for an elimination of any sale or purchase of single-use plastics in Bermuda by 2022. We've already started the phase plans to do that. That's the goal. I would love to do it by 2021, but I need your help. I need your help to do that. I will work to do it earlier, but I need your help. The process has already started. Next question from somebody right here.
By increasing agriculture in Bermuda, we're increasing it worldwide. So wouldn't that be worse for the planet?
No. Greater sustainable agriculture is better for the planet. Less use of safe, manageable use of our lands, using greater technology such as hydroponics and sort of other types of modern farming, which efficiently uses agricultural methods rather than traditional farming. Because I'm not interested in removing any more of the trees and that for farming. I'm interested in using modern farming techniques, which use even things like growing plants in sort of vacant buildings and things like that, which are modern methods of farming which are established. We can use some of our vacant buildings around town to do mixed purpose use, such as farming within those to grow the needed plants and vegetables. We can do things much more efficiently here. We don't have to duplicate what bigger countries are doing at that scale. We can do it smaller. Right now, there's a place in Southampton that grows cucumbers and tomatoes, and they can supply the whole island just by hydroponics. If we can duplicate that with other essential fruits and vegetables, we can have greater food security. So I'm not talking about traditional farming. I'm talking about modern methods of farming, which are about conservation and efficiency use of space, but we can still feed ourselves.
What are we going to do about styrofoams? They're almost as bad as plastic, so why aren't we banning them?
All single-use items that are not renewable will be on the list for elimination. I will take one more question from somebody who hasn't already asked. We will look at that, but we're doing our single-use plastics initiative in phases. So you'll see some things in the next few months: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Ban plastic.
Why would you introduce? Yeah.
I'll take one more question because I will. One more question from somebody who has not taken it, young lady.
Why would you want to introduce modern farming? When modern farming, the biochemists actually say it does more harm to the body than just naturally farming. So either way, you're trying to kill us. That's still some way of killing people in the long run, because it's been proven through a lot of statistics that biochemistry is actually a causer for cancer and mutations in the body cells.
I disagree on that point, but I do believe that employing modern, sustainable, healthy, modern, sustainable methods of farming, which allows us to use elements like we have huge amounts of mulch in Pembroke down at the dump. We can use that to do sustainable farming. I'm not talking about anything that's going to pollute the environment. Using methods that are renewable, that builds food security. We need to build greater food security for Bermuda. That means greater and more efficient forms of agriculture in Bermuda. So, thank you very much, everyone.
Take off your blazer and stay longer. There's one question. Yeah.
I will answer.
We are missing school for this.
I will answer two more questions. I will answer two more questions before I go, because I'd like to go and celebrate a very important moment in Bermuda's history that we all benefited from, that help people to participate more in our democracy. So I wish to go there. I'll answer two more questions. But I'm happy to, at some later point, receive some of you, and we can talk more about this issue and outline to me some of your plans that you'd like to see Bermuda take on. I'll take two more questions. I heard a very important question about what is phase 1. Phase 1 is plastic straws, plastic spoons, plastic utensils. That's the part of the phase 1.
What about science?
Yes, a ban with there, but we need to do it in phases because I want people to be comfortable. That is the plan, and you'll hear about more about phase 1 in due course.
There's still plastic straws and
Yes.
I know.
Why are you allowing so
And we are moving. You will hear more about the ban on plastic. You'll have more about the ban on plastic straws in the next upcoming months. I promise you. One more question. Somebody who hasn't asked, and then I'm going to have to go. I apologize, but I invite you to come back, and myself and others who are working in this area will meet with you.
We weren't invited this.
At Horseshoe Long Bay, they provide plastic cups for your drinks at Rumble Bar. What are you doing to stop this from going into the ocean?
Thank you for letting me know that. We will go and speak to the concessionaires there about using paper and non-plastic options. We are going to encourage all concessionaires, and we're working with the Department of Parks, who license them to participate in the parks, about using renewable and sort of non-plastic options. I will address it with the Parks Department and the minister concerned.
One last question.
Excuse me. I'm only going to deal with people who have not spoken already, and shouting to me will not get you an answer either. Yes, sir.
Why is it up to us? Why can't you take it to your own initiative? Because we're just kids.
I just want, because you make a difference, it's your future, I want to work with you. It's not just leaving it up to you. I'm happy to work with you to fulfill the type of Bermuda that you want in the future. I know that's my job, is to work with you. I'm not just a leader, but I also need to work and partner with people in the community to make things happen. So I'm happy to work with you. That's why I will work for those.
I'm actually a girl.
I did not know that, and I apologize.
Has the government reviewed the
Thank you, Minister.
I'll take.
school
Excuse.
time to talk to us.
I will ask. You've had a lot of opportunities. I wanted somebody who has not had the opportunity to ask the question.
Has the government reviewed the Better Energy Plan put forward by B Solar to be legislated, and why have we not seen action on this?
That B Solar proposal was sent to the regulatory authority as part of the consultation around the IRP, which is coming out. So that is who has reviewed it. I've seen it, but the real decisions around what B Solar is proposing would be considered by the regulatory authority, not by the government for any possible implementation. But I have seen it, and I am fully aware of its proposals. And as I said earlier, we support a greater renewable future that's based on wind, solar, and also ocean technologies that will be developed. We are not moving back to putting any additional generation that is fossil fuel based in this country. That will not be the future of this country. Thank you, everybody. As I said, you are invited. I will make sure that at some point in the future, we can have another meeting together to talk about what you want to see about the future of Bermuda. Thank you.
Declare climate emergency! 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 Declare climate emergency!
Will you guys take the microphone and tell us what we're doing here and why you brought us all together?
You can stand up here.
So we've all gathered here today because each and every one of us are really passionate about the environment, and we've noticed that we only have 12 years left until climate change. We've noticed that climate change, there's only 12 years left until climate change becomes irreversible, and now is the time to act. So if we don't act now, then it's going to be too late, and we're all going to die of climate change, while everyone who's enforcing the laws and making the laws will die of old age, and it's not fair to us, and it's not fair to the generations that come after us. So we are here to fight for our future, and for the futures of others, and that's why we're here today.
So I think we can all say that we're here because we want to stand up for what is right, correct?
Yes! Indeed!
Because what we see here is an injustice. The current generations, what they're doing, they're consuming the natural resources, they're consuming pollutants, and what they're doing is they're leaving the younger generation to clean it up. And should we be the ones to clean it up?
No!
So what we are here for, we are here to stand for us and our earth, because we cannot be held responsible for something that we have not done. We cannot be denied opportunities because of things that are happening in other generations. So thank you all for coming out. And thank you for supporting.
If anyone else wants to come up, just come. Hi everyone. So I think we can all agree that climate change is a really, really serious issue. And I know he said phase 1 was banning plastic straws, plastic
That
forks.
starts with us, though.
That starts with us.
Don't use your own straws. Don't use plastic bags.
Bring metal straws. Don't use the straws from
Exactly. And if phase 1 is that, phase 1 should really be to ban all fishing equipment in large amounts and put a ban on fish that has not been wild caught, because fish that is in farms, they poop in their own they swim in their own poop, they put antibiotics in the tanks to keep it clean, and we're consuming that. And so if we continue to allow this, then we will not have a phase 1 at all. All right, I'm done.
And one of the easiest way to stop this is cut down on your meat consumption. It's a really easy way to cut down on your environmental footprint. Cut down on your meat consumption. Be vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian. Anything helps. Do anything you can.
Yes, girl.
Yes, at least one day. Even just one day.
Even just one day. Anything helps.
One day a week.
Try and make an effort to go meatless one day every week, because I swear to you, it will help. And also, take away all plastic straws that you have, like, anywhere in a restaurant. Just don't ask for it. Don't get plastic utensils. Don't get plastic bags. Use reusable ones. And stop using plastic bags for your sandwiches. Just try and make a beeswax wrap. Simple things like this can actually really help us. So, yeah, stop.
Get some help.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something to what she was saying. So she was saying, don't ask for a straw. When you order a drink, just say, I don't want a straw, okay? Because then you just don't use it. So.
Shouldn't be so small. Today's one should be more. Yeah.
So don't let them tell you that renewables are off in the future. 25 years I lived for all of that time with solar panels on my roof as my only source of electricity. I'm still here. My children are living in that house with the solar panels as their only source of electricity. And that was started 25 years ago. Right now, renewables are cutting edge. We don't need to wait any longer. We don't need to wait any longer. And it's up to you, because you can look around you and see who's here today. It's you. You're the future. Let's do it.
The time is changing, so we need to take initiative and stop using one-use plastics. We need to do better things to help our environment. Like I said before, cutting out meat for like just one day a week is really good. And you know, it's 2019. We need to start like taking control of our future. If we leave it up to them, it's just going to be super slow and we're just going to end up dying. They'll just postpone it. Absolutely. We have to do something. We have to make a change. Like Michael Jackson said.
Okay, just let's say we're
Okay. And then we'll introduce after we. Okay.
guys, can you listen up real quick, please?
Okay. So one last thing, you all have been really brave in coming out today, and what I want to say is, don't be satisfied until you see change, because we've heard a lot of promises today, but we cannot stop until we actually see something happening.
Empty promises need to be
Right. So.
protest every single Friday.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
So keep that fire, keep being courageous, and thank you so much for coming today. So now to close, we're gonna do a little activity.
Okay, so basically, we're gonna do something that Extinction Rebellion did. Basically, what they did is they showed their government what the Earth would look like. So 100 years from now, and everyone laid on the floor, and basically they played dead. So
Lay on the floor and play dead.
yeah, so that's what we're gonna do, basically.
Everyone play dead.
Yeah,
On the grass.
On the grass.
Keep your side. Keep your side.
Good, you caught up with me. Good, thanks. What, you out on one live? Oh, see it.